3, 2, 1. Okay, so today we have David here from Poplar. Well, let's cut right to the chase. So, what is it that Poplar do, and what is the impact that you're looking to have if your vision plans out the way you want it to?
Great. So Poplar, which you can find at poplar.studio,
Yep.
is an AR creative platform for augmented reality. And we help brands and companies produce augmented reality content simply, affordably, and quickly. And we do that through a community of creators. So we have 1,000 plus AR creators from around the world that are registered with Poplar. And we have a whole workflow worked out. So it's sort of AR campaigns on demand.
Yeah.
The key problem that we're trying to solve is it's complicated to produce augmented reality content at the moment because you have a lot of AR creators and 3D modelers around the world. You don't really know how to go and work with them. You can use a lot of pieces of technology to create AR, whether it's ARKit or Lens Studio, Spark AR, etc. And then also you can deploy AR on a lot of different platforms, so apps, the web, etc. So a lot of people don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
So we're sort of solving that problem through our platform, as well as making it affordable and quick.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of impact and kind of creating a two-place marketplace. I mean, what kind of made you? What was the germ of the idea, and what made you stumble upon this idea? I mean, you worked at Google before.
Yeah. So actually, the first thing is I come from a very traditional side of the business. Started in Hollywood about 17 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
Producing film and distributing film, and I've gone through the transformation of the film industry.
Yeah.
Where it used to be that you needed a very expensive camera and a crew of 100 people to produce stuff, and it was very expensive and slow and whatnot. And then I was lucky enough to work through a lot of the online video businesses like Netflix and Dailymotion and YouTube. And at YouTube for the past 6, 7 years, I was working with content creators, and I had production studios that I was building around Europe, Middle East, Africa.
Okay.
For YouTube, Google. And we were working with a lot of these independent YouTube creators and influencers that started just producing with an iPhone, and they could upload a 30-second video on Instagram and become influencers and make money off of brand collaboration. So sort of saw that transformation happening for the next wave of media and formats, which for me is augmented reality.
Yeah.
Because YouTube and videos and display and those types of formats for advertising marketing are sort of the like old school traditional formats where you're still pretty passive and you're leaning back and consuming content, even though on YouTube you can leave comments and whatnot. With AR, you're fully interacting with content that will be displayed around you.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in that phase of storytelling, but also how I can work directly with independent freelancers and content creators to make it affordable and quick today, not in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, forgive me for my comparison, but to some extent, AR kind of reminds me of cryptocurrency in that there was a lot of hype, stagnation, but the one difference with AR is you guys have been able to figure out a lot of the fundamental glitches in the technology. So now there's real world use cases. In terms of infrastructure and technological advancements with AR, what do you think has kind of spearheaded AR's ability to really be useful in a multitude of industries?
Yeah, so I think the comparisons with crypto is hard because first of all, crypto is really hard to manufacture.
Yeah.
Whereas AR, it used to be that it was hard because you needed a lot of hardware and specialized software, but nowadays you have so much commoditization of software. Yeah. Because a lot of the big tech companies have invested massively to democratize AR content creation. So whether it's an Apple with ARKit or Google with AR Core, Adobe and Amazon have also suites like Sumerian. A lot of the companies out there now, Lens Studio for Snapchat, Facebook has Spark AR. So a lot of the people can easily pick up how to produce AR content themselves. So it's becoming more and more democratized. It's more how do people go about it and start monetizing those skills and creating content there. I think Pokemon Go in 2014-16 kind of put it really on the map because it was so mainstream. And it always sort of starts with gaming and entertainment, of course. And so that put people on the streets, and it's still generating a lot of money for Niantic, who got investment from Google. Who's behind Pokemon Go, and they released Harry Potter Wizards Unite. So every time sort of AR goes back on the map with these sort of killer gaming apps, we're still missing some core useful applications of AR. But actually, if you separate consumer AR and enterprise AR, on the enterprise side, there is already a lot of use of AR for manufacturing, training of workers, remote, assistance and things like that. HoloLens is the headset that's been created by Microsoft. You have Magic Leap, of course, who's like raised a lot of money. They are already used by the U.S. military and a lot of these guys in the enterprise sector.
Oh wow, for simulation.
Yeah, simulations, training, and whatnot. So already it's a huge industry out there. I think on the consumer side, this is where it's a bit slower to pick up. But you're already seeing advertising is predicted to be like $3 billion by 2023 for the use of AR.
Whoa, okay.
And that's stuff like face lenses for Instagram and Snapchat, or it could be product try-ons. So at Poplar, we've done a Speedo goggle, swimming goggles try-on. We could flip between different things. So it's going to really transform commerce, and in fashion you've seen that with ASOS and a lot of different brands as well.
I saw it with trainers. I remember seeing an app where people could, it was nearly there. It wasn't perfect.
Yeah, Wannabe is one of the companies that have developed SDK and an app. It's quite good actually. Gucci just released one recently.
Yeah.
Adidas, I think, Nike. So a lot of these companies are working on those applications.
I mean, in terms of where AR needs to go, I mean, what are the current challenges in AR, and in terms of what needs to be addressed?
So on the consumer side.
On the consumer side, yeah.
So like I said, there's a lot of tools you can use, and it's perceived that it's quite complex, so you need to be an AR developer, so you need to be an engineer who knows how to do coding. It might be like A-frame if you're doing some web AR development. You might need to do 3D modeling as well, because you need to recreate objects in a virtual way. And then you need to know where to deploy these experiences, and that vast choice of all these possibilities is still very mind-boggling for a lot of marketers and big brands out there. They don't know if they should be having a dedicated application, but then there's a lot of friction with that, as we've seen with some companies that have failed in the past, because you're asking a consumer to download an app if they're standing in the middle of a store or supermarket. So then there's other solutions where you can use Snapchat or Facebook, but then some marketers don't want to necessarily do that. So then you have Web AR, which is a sort of increasing platform that's great, because you can just use browsers. Then you have compatibility issues and whatnot. So there's a lot of issues there. People have a lot of devices. There's over 1 billion devices that are compatible for AR at the moment, but still you have iOS, Android. A lot of older devices below iPhone 6 are not compatible, for example. If you don't update the apps, the latest Facebook app, it might not work. So a lot of complexity around that. The last thing I would say is definitely around bandwidth and the types of experiences you're developing. I mean, it's very data hungry. So right now, being in the 3G, 4G stage, you're able to do smaller, sort of less ambitious type AR experiences. But as soon as we get to the 5G stage this year, next year, then you'll be able to do a lot more in terms of file sizes and the complexity of experiences.
That's interesting. I mean, you touched on 5G. I mean, that's a huge opportunity for AR, and that's kind of where the tipping point will be, in your opinion.
So now to talk a little bit more future forward, we're still very much mobile based with AR, of course, because we're using devices and hardware that's been made for that. AR headsets is when it's going to really liberate people in the use of AR, because instead of walking around and doing AR navigation or scanning objects with your phone in front of you, which is still a bit awkward, you'll be able to just have it always on through these AR headsets. And now the AR headsets today, the Magic Leaps and whatnot, are not that comfortable. Frankly, a bit embarrassing to walk around with that still, unless you're really into steampunk. So there's a lot of companies like Nreal in China and whatnot that are manufacturing more, I would say they look like your sunglasses. Facebook's announced they're doing a partnership with Ray-Ban, so it is coming, and that will really change things. But these devices are very light, and they're not able to store a lot of that power, so they have to be connected permanently to the cloud in order to deliver these rich AR experiences that will be projected all around you through these AR glasses. That means that 5G, because it's going to be super low latency and provide such a huge amount of data, you'll have these devices always connected. You're walking around and you're getting augmentation that is tourism based or commerce based or navigation or whatnot. And that kind of leads to the phone going away, and that transformation of how we went from PCs to the internet to mobile phones to potentially AR glasses. Now you're looking at potentially going into contact lenses. And Samsung already has patents around that.
Really?
to all the way to BCIs, brain connected interfaces.
Yeah.
And so some people are talking about implants and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds crazy.
In your opinion, what does tomorrow's AR cloud require?
Yeah, so on that side, the challenge also, so what is the AR cloud? First of all, is, it's about mapping your worlds, both externally and internally.
Yeah.
Externally, if you think about Google Street View, you'll want to recreate that Street View, but in actual 3D, where you have visual representation of the buildings and everything around you.
Yeah.
And so companies like Google, Scape, and 6DII, and Apple and Facebook, and a lot of them are starting to do these scanning. And actually, Huawei in China has already announced that this year, and from this year, they'll be scanning 1,000 cities.
Oh wow!
And creating 3D replicas of these cities.
Yeah. And
the intent for that is to be walking around and getting all these visual overlays of, let's say, a history of a building, or maybe it's an advertisement for a particular restaurant, and you can see that menu there, or it's navigation, or it's object recognition. Yeah. And also, it's actually more precise than GPS positioning once you start using AI and computer vision. So that's the AR cloud, what it's going to be enabling, but you have to be scanning that environment externally. Now, internally is even more complex, obviously, because how do you get people to scan their internal environments? Yeah. Likely it's when they're using existing applications. So then you get into the whole privacy data issue. You know, if it's a Facebook delivering on that, how do you do that? And with Oculus, they have in their policies, they are saying that they're not scanning your environment when you're using the Oculus Quest.
Do you believe that?
Saying right now. They're saying right now, and no Trump stuff. So you can see how that's going to be the key to unlocking actual data overlay all around you.
In terms of, does that kind of touch on, say, universal localizers and kind of mesh stitching? I mean, is that coming into play right now?
Yeah, it's about scanning surfaces and environments. At the simplest form right now, you can do face tracking using the front camera of your phone, and that's all using computer vision, and that's the mesh on your face, and you can do body tracking, and you can do background tracking, which is called segmentation. You could do sky tracking and turn the camera around, and you can already do a lot of modification of your environments through SLAM and a lot of different technologies. Companies like 6DAI, they also bring additional functionalities that are quite amazing, like occlusion. Okay. And I don't know if you've seen the demos from Niantic. No. Or, if you get Pikachu that's running around, if you don't have occlusion, it's going to run through a chair. So you're losing that magic. With occlusion, computer vision will recognize that this is an object or a chair, and he'll be able to hide behind or like walk behind it, right?
Oh wow, okay.
Then you have things like persistence. So how do you see something?
But
then I'll be able to see the same object that you've left in a certain place with my AR glasses or my AR or my devices through those AR experiences. That's something else that's going to make it super powerful, and that's where blockchain potentially comes in as well, because you can actually track a lot of these experiences. And then shareability also is like, can we simultaneously interact with AR and virtual objects? What's
your opinion on and your projection on kind of screens going away and kind of moving into a world where you're immersed into a different reality?
So first of all, it's not so far away because of the 5G side of things that we talked about, and then the AR glasses coming on. So for me, it's 3-5 years. The thing is, if you think about voice, what Alexa, Siri, Google Voice have all done is listen permanently so that they can serve data that's personalized to you and that's intelligent.
Wow.
And basically the same thing will happen with visual data thanks to computer vision, right? And already Google and these guys are working on it. So if you've used Google Lens, which I recommend, it's an application you can download for free. I've already used it for translation many years now. When I go to China, Russia, or whatnot, I can scan text and it's automatically translated. So in a restaurant, I'll scan a menu and it'll translate everything automatically. You can now scan plants and I'll tell you what plant it is. You'll scan sneakers and I'll tell you where to buy them directly on Amazon or other site. So it already exists, and you can see how that functionality is extremely useful to people. And so people will want it always on to some extent, and that means you'll won't have your phone always on in your hand. So the usability of having AR glasses, it does change everything, because that means you're always served that intelligent data that should be useful ideally. If you're in a restaurant, automatically show you models of the burger or the food that you're looking to order. It'll have an overlay on top of your potential date in front of you, and it'll tell you pieces of data from LinkedIn and Match.com and all these different data to like, so you can have an intelligent conversation with that person. They'll give you, seamless navigation, knowing where you're going next in your calendar and whatnot. I mean, and of course, there's very serious life-changing applications in healthcare, for surgeons that are hands-free, for manufacturing workers that are in a factory and they're building something, and there's noise and it's dangerous. And right now, like, they have a device in their hand and they have a piece of tool in their hand and whatnot. Once they're hands-free and they have all this intelligent data being served and instructing them how to do things, it's going to increase productivity and safety and ROI completely. Yeah. And then you can have someone across the world who's connected and can see what they see and sort of right on top of their glasses and sort of overlay that information. So you can see like massive applications across every single industry out there. Tourism, education, kids and how they learn, and how visual is so much more powerful in terms of like retention and effectiveness. I wish when I was a kid I could like have all these planets projected around me and like playing around with them or being in the ocean and kind of like learn visually that way, right?
Absolutely. So are you saying like we could literally in the next 5 years kind of see the dematerialization of, say, radios, phones and computers, and just engage into a completely virtual world?
Well, I mean, radio's already happened. Yeah. When you think about devices, and again, you went from the laptop, then you weren't connected to anything. You had CD-ROMs. I mean, that's how old I am. Then you had access to the internet, and you had this vast amount of data. Then you had a laptop and you walk around, then you had a mobile phone so you can walk around even more and get all of that data. We're still looking at cat videos, but you can look at anything, we're still looking at cat videos. And then in the future, you leave all of that at home and instead you just have all this overlay of data around you. Yeah. And then if you think about the cities of the future, I mean, of course, people are moving from countryside into big cities. So cities are becoming bigger and bigger. So all these cities will be smart cities and they'll be overlaid with all of this data. And also IoT comes in, so intelligent objects that are connected, that are sort of serving you that data if you're waiting for a bus and all that stuff. So so definitely the phone's going away and you're getting everything through this visual interface. And it's glasses as the next iteration. But then again, it could be contact lenses, it could be brain connected interfaces.
So you're literally seeing through the interface and that just blows my mind.
There's different pieces of technology. Either it's projected on the glass or it's projected on your retina. I mean, there's different ways of doing it. Yeah.
What do you think are the ramifications of like privacy? Oculus say they're not tracking data, but I mean, it's probably BS.
I think it's like everything. Like if you want data to help you save time and be predictive and connect you with the best products that are relevant to you, then these companies need access to your data. And so it's all about like how much access you want to grant or not. But if we want to access this intelligent visual future where we want everything to be personalized, and I have a blank wall in the store and I can see this mannequin and like how it's recommending a particular piece of clothing based on my taste and my previous purchases and my budget and all that stuff, but you might not see the same exact piece of clothing, If I want all of that, then I need to grant access to that data. And back to the AR cloud, if we want to map things intelligently to inside spaces and outside spaces, we'll need to allow companies to scan all of that space.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a trade-off, right? I mean, I think on the one hand, if you want access to all of this stuff, you're going to have to give up a lot of privacy.
Potentially. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's always about, can we control how that data is being used by these companies? Can they preserve our individual privacy while still serving up these technologies to other people? I mean, that's the question, right? I think it's possible.
Does the blockchain kind of help with that?
Yeah. The blockchain is more about protecting, potentially, because you can track, if you're creating this new artsy 3D model and you're placing it in Central Park, and this has taken you days and days to create, and someone else can come along and see it, and maybe they're buying it for $1,000, and they want to put that virtual sculpture in their house, then you can remove it, and that's all managed through the blockchain, right? So it's sort of that content management systems and a lot of that stuff will be done through blockchain.
Yeah, and so like, in terms of general navigation, I mean, do you think after 5-10 years we'll be able to kind of control what we see? So I don't know, you could be walking down a corridor and you just see the floor, but I could see a pond, and you could literally manipulate the environment around you. Do you foresee that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's already happening in very sort of basic
baseline level,
line levels with Pokemon Go and Niantic, with them. Minecraft also has just released a new iteration. You know, you have a lot of product try-ons where you can change already the flooring or the paint color, or you could place IKEA furniture. Like, there's a lot of different applications where you can customize your space in that way.
Yeah. In terms of, say, the other thing I wanted to kind of touch on was your beliefs about how AR will kind of affect marketing and storytelling, how brands are able to effectively tell their stories through AR. I mean, do you think eventually governments and companies will be vying for priority of your visual cortex?
On the brand side, yeah, I mean, interestingly for me, working with brands and marketers and helping them produce augmented reality content through Poplar, it's still at the basic stage of augmented reality applications. So again, the face filters that have existed on Snapchat for a while, that are super popular in Instagram stories and whatnot, are really interesting actually from a sort of identity remixing point of view. So you've seen all this stuff where you like become a woman or older or a baby, or you can apply like a mask, and so there's a lot of visual storytelling already, but it's very basic. And actually, we tend with every piece of media and format to use pre-existing formats, right? So when we went to video on YouTube, and I worked at YouTube for a long time, we were still thinking about film and traditional film and TV. Now we're going to apply that to YouTube, and people were still doing super long videos, and you know, it took a while to get to the vlogging format, and it's still shunned upon a lot. So with AR, I think a lot of people are still thinking, oh, how do I apply TV, film formats, and traditional advertisement to AR? But actually, what we've been talking about is how to transform your whole environment. So how do you do storytelling with this completely new medium, where you can completely modify someone's environment, not just their face one time, you know, not just with a virtual character from a movie. How do you make them interact with that environment in a completely different way? So there's a lot of things you can do, and Chris Milk, who's this pioneer in VR, he's just created this Wonderscope application for kids, which is an AR application. So he's using that storytelling for education. That's really super well done.
I mean, what have been your favorite applications of AR from a marketing standpoint? You know,
yeah, so I mean, I'd have to talk about the stuff that we do at Poplar, that studio, and a lot of the try-on stuff we've done with Speedo, where you try all the different goggles. We've done one for Nestle, Felix, as well. So they have this campaign where you can play around with Felix. And so we've recreated Felix as a 3D model, and with your phone you can position Felix in your own environment and get up to mischief with a cat with a lot of different animations and interactions. We've done some really cool stuff with Candy Crush and King, where you sort of like have a lot of mini games and you catch up candy that's falling, and it kind of modifies your appearance. We've done a really cool campaign with a lot of music labels, one with Big Shack in the UK. That generated 20 million organic impressions on Facebook. And that was a Big Shack face filter, but also you could place the 3D model of the singer and he would like dance around and whatnot. So tons of stuff you can do.
Are there specific industry verticals that are kind of ripe and would benefit from AR marketing specifically? And you know, have you seen?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I think we work with a lot of different sectors. So from entertainment, which we know promotion of movies and IP, music for the promotion of artists, especially when I think about like independent artists. When you think about how music video was so popular back in my days on MTV and whatnot, like now you want to grab millennials' attention on Snapchat and Instagram, and the stories mode that they use, and AR is a great way to do that, because also they're wearing the brand on their faces, and they're like sharing that with their friends, so it's a very viral way to promote your like tracker or whatever it is. But also beauty and fashion, where you can use makeup and modify hair color. Consumer goods, where you could place virtual objects, whether it's like bags or clothing or a lot of the different things. You can augment bottles as well. A lot of wine companies now have labels that you can augment through the AR technology. So yeah, it's really limitless in terms of sectors and applications.
But as in right now though?
These are all things that are actually live use cases.
I mean, in terms of your business, I mean, in terms of the opportunity for AR creators, I mean, would you be able to kind of talk about that? I mean, why is it such a big opportunity for storytellers and AR developers right now?
Yeah, I think it's, first of all, we're at a time where a lot of the movie industry is sort of, decreasing budgets, or you're seeing a lot of sequels and things like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that work in VFX and post-production are looking for jobs. A lot of the people that work in agencies, potentially, that are losing business. A lot of the big brands are integrating content creation internally. So a lot of these people are going freelance and looking for work. And this is where we can really help, especially because there are 5 million 3D modelers out there. And we upskill them, so we have webinars, workshops, we help them collaborate with other creators. And they can quite easily upskill from being a 3D modeler to actually learning how to code basic things in augmented reality, how to use Lens Studio for Snapchat and Spark AR for Facebook. So you're seeing this rise of communities of AR creators around the world that are able to do a lot of these experiences. And it's quite amazing. We have testimonials from people that have been able to create their own agencies and hire people from the money we've given back to the community. Through their production. People who have upskilled and learned new skills.
I mean, and how can brands really leverage your platform and benefit from it? You have a two-sided marketplace.
It's much more than maybe an Upwork or Fiverr would be.
So
we're not just matchmaking a brand with a creator and being like, now you deal with it. Because it is complex to understand even what AR could deliver for your brand. And how do you choose the right format? Like, do you want to do face filter? Do you want to do a wall tracker? Do you want to do an image scanner? And like, what kind of format do you do? Do you deliver on Facebook, Snapchat, etc.? So what we do at Poplar is we accompany them on that whole decision tree, sort of the whole journey from the beginning. We ask them if they already have a concept in mind or not. If not, then the community will deliver concepts to them, and they can select their favorite one. Then we'll take them through a production cycle where we help them decide exactly what format, what platform, the timeline they need to deliver on, and whatnot. So we make it very simple for them. We guarantee the quality, of course, because all our creators are vetted and certified, and they're matched with the skills that are required for that particular brief. And then we foster a lot of collaboration with creators. We make it a lot affordable, I would say, is the main selling point as well. A lot of the agencies out there have been charging hundreds of thousands to brands. That therefore have seen very low ROI and sort of, on the back end. Whereas we charge from £4,000 for an AR experience. So it's making it a lot more affordable for everybody.
That's amazing because, traditionally with two-sided marketplaces, you leave the onus on the brands or the buyer to make the purchase decision. But because AR's somewhat new, you guys are providing them with more assistance and help. So they can make an accurate decision, and so that their money doesn't go to waste.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's a self-serve platform, and then ultimately we're also starting to test templates, sort of like Canva does for design. Where we'll have pre-made AR templates that SMEs and the longer tail, so the public will be able to use for much, much, much cheaper. So hundreds instead of thousands. So sort of democratizing that AR content creation.
That's amazing. And in terms of AR developers, I mean, actually, let's switch on to your favorite projects. I mean, is there a specific project that's been, that you've been really excited about, maybe in the education sector or something?
I mean, we've done over 80 campaigns, so definitely ranging from retail to the marketing of a brand or whatnot. I mean, the one that was quite particular was for Bayer, which is a pharmaceutical company. They wanted to augment their sort of boring reports that they send to farmers. So it's a very niche application, which I love about it. So we, through Web AR actually, so you don't need an app, you just scan a QR code and then it triggers the experience within the web browser directly in Safari or Chrome. And from that report, you're able to place a virtual plot of land with like crops and everything, and you can scan through documents and images, and you have videos playing and a soundtrack and whatnot. So you wouldn't really immediately think about this application, but it's making it a lot more interesting and entertaining for these clients of Bayer's.
That's amazing. And you went through the Founders Factory Accelerator. How did you find that process?
I think, entrepreneurs should always think if they want to join an incubator or accelerator or not. There's a lot of trade-off, especially in terms of giving away equity and whatnot. For me, as I'm not a serial entrepreneur, in all honesty, and I came out of a big company, Google, and previous big companies, I felt like I wanted that support. Okay. I met my co-founder at Founders Factory early on, Laurie, who's the CTO of Poplar. We got a lot of support in terms of people helping us in growth and marketing or business development or product, in terms of strategy and branding and whatnot. We got a lot of introductions to clients and sort of really helped us for the first 6 months to get going. And then ultimately resulted in sort of demo day and pitching to investors and helped a lot close the first few rounds.
I mean, what advice would you give to somebody entering an accelerator? I mean, I'm sure there are cases where it's been completely wrong or bad.
I think it has to do with the stage that you're at and what you really think you'll reap from it. And we just joined actually an accelerator called R Lab in New York City, which is the first of its kind. It's dedicated to AR and VR, and it's backed by Super Ventures, which is Orion Barnes, one of the pioneers in the AR VR field. He also runs AWE, which is one of the main conferences for AR. So in that sense, for us, it was really interesting to get the network that Super Ventures and R Lab have and the introductions. We also wanted to expand in the US market, and they're in New York, and they could help with that introduction. Investor introductions, and so there are a lot of advantages to doing that. And there's a trade-off also with giving away equity, but we also got a bit of funding, which helped us hire a junior developer and whatnot. So I think it really has to fit within your roadmap and your HR map. It's sort of, there are accelerators that we may have turned down because they were asking for equity, but there was no financial counterpart, or they were offering things that we thought at our stage wouldn't necessarily be very beneficial. So I think people really have to think about that. And some are very prestigious, of course, beyond Founders Factory, like Techstars and Y Combinator and whatnot. And there's a lot of people battling to get into those. I have heard from alumni that, yes, of course, when you're from that accelerator, then it's going to open a lot of doors. So I would say yes, but then really think about the trade-off.
I mean, you've closed I think a seed round, right?
Pre-seed, yeah.
Pre-seed. I mean, what do you aspire to build over the next, say, 18 months? What's in store for Poplar?
Yeah, so we've gotten 150,000 from Founders Factory. We closed a pre-seed of £500,000 in April of last year. We got additional funding from Super Ventures by joining the R Lab Accelerator. And so what we want to do now is go from sort of a lot of premium account managed AR campaign production to fully self-serve production using the platform that we're developing. And so sort of transferring a lot of the revenue, because we're revenue generating. We have $500,000 in revenue already that we generated in a year. So we want to transfer that over to self-serve platform and scale up the amount of work that we can do by being self-serve, and also test a few of these templates so that we can really have a proposition where we are making it still more affordable for more and more people. As the AR industry, I would say, also evolves, right? Because we are in the early days. So we have to position ourselves as being riding that wave.
In terms of the 5G wave, I mean, what consequences do you think that will kind of have on your business? Because that will really supercharge this sector.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll see a lot more ambitious applications of AR in real-world environments, whether it's for big launches and a lot of press around it, or it's use cases that are very useful in different industries like healthcare, automotive, and whatnot.
Is there a use case you're really excited about seeing with the onset of 5G?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for example, volumetric and capturing people's sort of replica and projecting that onto a surface is very the file size is humongous. So with the amount of data transfers and whatnot that we have right now, it's impossible almost. The quality of the AR models that we use is great, but still somewhat low poly, as we call it. So it's never really hyper realistic, and it's something we always have to make sure the brands are aware of. So 5G will allow bigger file size and lower latency and enable a lot more realistic and ambitious experiences. And that means a lot more sort of fashion brands and those sorts of people will get on the bandwagon.
I can imagine. That kind of wraps up the interview. I mean, I've got a quick fire round for you. Most valuable purchase under £100?
It's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of the subscriptions, really boring answer. A lot of subscriptions we have for software and whatnot, that's £100 to HubSpot for lead generation. Changed my life.
HubSpot.
Yeah, I mean, HubSpot, a lot of the stuff like, Figma that we use for product design, a lot of these things. Slack, obviously, like for real-time communication with the team, like a lot of these things are super, super valuable as an entrepreneur with a small team to keep like communication going.
A book you would give to a fellow startup founder, if you like them?
Yeah, even if I don't like them, because I wish well to everybody. I think Guy Kawasaki's Art of the Start probably is one that really helped me out and inspired me, and has a lot of really good advice on how to start your company and what to do.
I mean, most valuable advice you've received?
That it's a long haul. It's like, I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah. Like,
don't expect to sell your company in the next year. Obviously, everybody knows 9 out of 10 fail, and it's probably more now, but it's a 3, 4, 5-year game, if not more, right? And it's a big decision. So I'm 41. I'm also doing it for the learning and be able to build a company from scratch and hire talent and help them grow and build a culture and just also be a pioneer in this new industry that's augmented reality and computer vision. These are the main things. It's not for me to sell the company within the next year or so. Probably shouldn't say that to an investor, but I think it's very realistic. And so you have to be really solid financially and sort of humanly, and being able to ride that. Yeah.
Most valuable failure?
It will be Poplar if it fails. At this point, I'm realistic, and I know I can fail, and I'm doing everything I can not to. But it will have been the most valuable experience if I do fail, because I've learned a shit ton. Yeah. Am I allowed to say that? Sorry.
Yeah, you can swear.
All right, cool.
And what gives you the most relief as a founder? You're a startup founder, so I mean, I'm guessing there's not a lot.
I guess the most relief obviously is when you're able to sign a deal, but it's just like seeing your team grow. Because you want to work with people that can grow really quickly and that are sort of blank canvases and that are jack of all trades, even myself. I do a ton of admin and a ton of things I would never have done before at a big company like Google. And so being able to like hire people and seeing them grow and just a year, even less, like a couple months, become well versed in AR and being able to sort of evangelize and be passionate about that and bring that back to other people. I love seeing that.
I just wanted to touch on a couple of stuff. I mean, what type of culture do you aspire to create with Poplar?
So we definitely are learners in the way that we still learn every day about new applications of AR and new case studies, and new like companies are coming out with a piece of tech that we could apply, because we work with all kinds of tech. So whether it's in web AR or maybe Facebook or Apple has a new update, like we constantly learn, and we love teaching or sort of evangelizing that back to brands and companies and other people. And when I talk about the future of AR and computer vision and see like eyes wide open, like that's really cool. That's one of our core values about sort of like futurism and the applications of AR. And diversity is sort of a cliche, but obviously important to us, but not just in terms of our own team, but also about the ecosystem. So the creators that we work with, all from all around the world, all ages, freelancers, agencies, and it's really nice to be working with such a diverse crowd of creators that also want to just be able to make money from that craft every day, and from a diverse side of like clients and partners, whether it's advertisers or tech companies or other.
I mean, that kind of wraps up the interview. I do want to ask you one more question. I kind of forgot. I mean, what do you think the ramifications are for like VR and AR as it pertains to documentaries and movies? I mean, do you think eventually Netflix will begin to create VR and AR movies?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, VR, obviously you've seen a lot of these use cases with documentaries, and every film festival now has sort of a VR section. But in AR, it's going to be a bit slower, I think. Snapchat has alluded to using a lot more of AR in their like stories mode. So like if you watch a serial, it might interrupt you in the middle of a series where you're like you're watching the protagonist's bedroom or living room, and all of a sudden you'll be able to project a portal in your own environment and step through and be in that bedroom or living room, so you can sort of interact a lot more with those properties. So quite interesting.
Thank you so much for being on our interview.
I have
really
to
appreciate
head off.
it.
Fun call, yeah.
No worries. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was really cool.